Welcome to Dare to Soar with your host, Dr. RC. Dr. RC will empower, encourage, and strengthen you. She will help you to soar to your highest potential while instilling hope. Please welcome the host of Dare to Soar, Dr. RC.
Good morning, and welcome to Dare to Soar, where we educate, empower, and inspire individuals and communities to rise above challenges and reach their fullest potential. Of course, I'm your host, Dr. RC. I am so glad that you're joining me today. Oh gosh, what an exciting show I'm going to have with you just to share information and impart information. Now, for many communities across the country, August represents something that I know is very familiar, and not to mention a little bit of September also. But since we're in August, I'm just going to kind of focus and hone in on that. Back to school. There's a certain energy that comes along with that month as well. New backpacks, fresh notebooks, teachers preparing lessons, administrators holding staff meetings, families just adjusting to those morning routines as well. Students reconnecting with their friends after that long summer break. And those school buses get to rolling in those early morning hours as well. Again, traveling through those neighborhoods. Oh, that becomes a new normal once again. But behind that excitement, there's something that's much deeper that's happening along with that as well. You see, millions of people are transitioning. Yes, I said transitioning because that's something that happens. There are students that are transitioning from the summer break into that structured learning routine. Some of those entering kindergarten for the very first time, not to mention pre K as well. Others beginning middle school, some walking into high school for the very first time. Others beginning their senior year. Whoa, what a wonderful experience, and the outcomes that go along with that as well. Teachers returning with the new students, new expectations, and perhaps new challenges also. Administrators, they're thinking about what the academic achievements are going to look like, staffing, s- safety, attendance, discipline, family engagement, school climate, and countless other responsibilities that go along with it. And families entrusting schools to once again do something incredibly precious, caring for their children. So today I don't want to simply just talk about going back to school. I want to talk about going back to belonging, you see, because here's the question. I want us to consider throughout today's show something. You see, when students and educators walk through our school doors, what will that feel like before we ever get to know them? Before we ever know them, understand what that happens. What will that welcome feel like? What will safeness feel like? What will it feel like to be safe? What will they feel what it means to be respected? Feeling connected? Will they feel that someone notices them? Will they feel that warmth that needs to be felt during that time? The research tells us that this matters. School connectedness is not just something, just not a nice idea. The CDC describes it as this: school connectedness, as students believe that the adults and peers at the school care about them as individuals as well as their learning. And research consistently connects positive school relationships as well and supportive learning environments with stronger student learning, well being, engagement, and development. That's CDC. That's not Dr. RC words because I like to do some research and share that with you. So during our hour together, we're going to talk about students, we're going to talk about teachers, administrators, families as well, because all of those things tie in together. We're going to talk about student support with professionals and going to talk about our communities because all of those play in to the interfold of what happens in the school environment. But most importantly, I'm going to give you strategies that can move beyond today's conversation and enter our schools also, because belonging doesn't happen accidentally. We create it. let's talk about how that's being done. So today's title is about back to school, back to belonging. And I wanted to add a little more to that topic as well. You see, when we're creating school communities where everyone feels safe, seen, supported, and ready to thrive. Because after all, they may enter one grade, but we want to be able to matriculate on to the next grade also. But when that happens, we want them to be able to do that successfully. And as I said, we want them to feel seen as they're being do as this is happening. And but we want them to be able to thrive in the process also. In other words, they need to feel nurtured throughout this process as well. So when we're doing this, we want them to feel welcomed. And that leads me into what we're going to get into next. But I don't want to get into ahead of myself. I have like a little few seconds before the commercial break, but I'm going to jump ahead. I know my engineer is going to be so excited because I'm ahead of the time. He usually has to put that little sign up to tell me, Dr. RC, it's time for a commercial break. But today, I'm going to beat him to the punch. So, guys, I'm going to jump ahead of the commercial break and go ahead of it because I don't want to dive into this next portion because I want you to breathe into everything that I have to share. So go ahead and get that coffee, that tea, that water, refresh yourself. But more importantly, get your notebooks out also because Dr. RC is going to share some things as we welcome you back to school and back to belonging. I'll be right back after this commercial break.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays 10 a.m. Eastern, as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals.
Well, welcome back. Yes, we have returned. This is Dare to Soar, and I am Dr. RC, your host. Oh, back to school, back to belonging, creating school communities where everyone feels safe, they feel seen, supported, and ready to thrive. So, welcome back. And I want to repeat that again. But welcome back to what? When we talk about that statement, when we talk about welcoming you back to school, the readiness, here's what we think of first. We think about academics. Of course, that's quite naturally. But are students prepared? I want to throw some questions out there for you. Are students prepared? Do they have their supplies? That's automatic. What we think about, you get that supply list and all the things that they need. But do they have their schedules? Have they been analyzed? Are classrooms ready? That's what's on teachers' minds also. But readiness has another dimension also. And here is what it is: emotional readiness. I want to say marinate on that because that's what's coming to my mind. But just, let that sink in, absorb to you. Students don't leave their life experiences at the schoolhouse, at the schoolhouse door. They don't. Neither do adults. And that's just the reality of it all. Every person entering that building arrives carrying something. And we're human beings. That's just a natural response of life. And it's true, it's factual. A student may be excited to return, of course, because why? As children, no matter what age they are, they want to see their friends again who they may not seen the entire summertime. Or those, like I said, who are still preparing to return, they feel the very same way. And they may be anxious for one reason or another. One may have experienced an amazing summer. Some may have. Another may have experienced instability, grief, family conflict, homelessness, food insecurity, illness, violence, or isolation. These are the realities of life. And sometimes we can't tell the difference simply by looking, and we can't. That's why relationships matter from day one, and they do. Research Recent research from the Learning Policy Institute emphasizes that positive school based relationships support both learning and well being. They go hand in hand, it's a connection between the two. And that belonging becomes particularly important during adolescence as young people develop their identities. So here's our first strategy. I always, guys, like to give you those tips. Don't begin only with expectations. Begin with connections. Connections are important. Of course, students need expectations, and Dr. RC is not saying that, so I don't want that to be a takeaway. And if you don't get it right now, you can always listen to the playback of this also. They need structure, of course. They need routines as well. Even as adults, we need routines. Think about it. We have a routine every day, things that we do. But students should also know, who is my safe adult? Where do I go when I need help? Does someone here know my name? Does someone notice me? Does somebody believe I can succeed? During the first days of school, consider asking students something beyond. What did you do this summer? And sometimes those are exercises. If you can remember, and I don't want to date myself and age wise, but sometimes if you can remember, some time ago, that these used to be routines that actually happened within the first couple of days of school. And although those routines may have changed, there are often times we need to get back to the basics. Or try this. What is something you want me to know about you? I can help you successfully be successful this year. That is one question that can open a door, open that dialogue for conversation. And even if you have a shy student, maybe you can go to another student that may not be so shy to open some type of dialogue. Or you can try some strategies. The first 10-day connection challenge, as I like to call it. During the first 10 days of school, you can work towards helping every student identify a few things. One adult they trust, one peer connection, one place within a school year where they feel comfortable, or an activity, class activity, or interests they may enjoy. One reason they want to just return tomorrow. That's always a treat for them. Just to get those connections, those interactions going. Just imagine what may change if that became as important as knowing where students sit. And then think about this. Here's a reflection. For those working in schools, ask yourself something to this matter. Who might enter my building this year believing nobody will notice them? Can you just imagine that? Imagine that. If you walk through your building every day going there and no one paid you attention, imagine how an adult may feel with that experience. But imagine a child feeling that way. And then ask, what can I do differently so they discover they're they were wrong? Gosh, what a feeling of emotion that would bring. Can you imagine what self-esteem building exercise within that child, how that would feel, how that would physically change that child? You may bring about a smile within that child that can change their whole school year, building confidence also. You see, students, they enjoy helping them, that would be able to help them find their footing, and what things you would be able to bring out of them. Learning, and that's a key element. Social skills, tapping into the root of what they need to excel and elevate. Because after all, it's about them. That's why this work is so important. That's why we do this work, because they want to be grounded so they can elevate and matriculate onto the next level. So when we talk about that, it's directly about our students. And that's why individuals work in education. The student walking confidently into a school isn't the only student who needs us and do this work. And I say us because that when you work in education, that's what it's all about. Paying attention to that student and who's standing quietly near the wall. I have some more that I want to dive into when we're talking about helping them find their footing, but it is time for a commercial break. I'll be right back to share more on this topic. Don't go away.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. Yeah, it feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back once again. Yes, of course, I am Dr. RC, and you are tuned into Dare to Soar. I want to jump right back in, helping them find their footing as we continue on with back to school, back to belonging. That is the topic of discussion for this hour. So as I left off, I shared with you the line of pay attention to the students standing quietly near the wall. I want to continue on with that and go a little further as I move forward. The student eating alone, some telltale signs, or the student who just stops participating as we look at that, or the one who becomes anger quietly. Here are the things we want to help them find their footing, paying attention to these things. Students who repeatedly say, I'm fine, I'm fine. Those are things we want to pay attention to, hone in on. Now, of course, all of these things don't always mean the same, but if we can take that extra step to reach out, to just ask some extra questions, behavior communications, withdrawal, attendance, also silence as well. The challenges for adults is learning to become curious before becoming judgmental. Do I need to say it one more time? I think I will. The challenges for adults is learning to become curious before becoming judgmental. And let me clarify that. Now, I'm not saying, because I don't want anyone to take what I'm saying out of context. Now, is Dr. RC saying, well, every adult has this attitude? No. What I'm sharing is just to be mindful and give some grace, plain and simple. Instead of immediately asking, what's wrong with this child? Try asking, what might this student need? See how that works differently? No different than what you would want someone to ask about you. It works the same way. It's just that as adults, we've kind of shifted and maneuvered to know how to handle things a little differently. And if we want them to grow up to be productive individuals, we have to give them the same thing. No different. See, that shift matters. Practical strategies include brief morning check ins, peer buddies for new students or student ambassadors, transition groups, mentoring, advisory periods, opportunities for student voices, predictable classroom routines, and clearly communicating where students can obtain help. Easy, simple little things. Schools can also just conduct morning connection mapping as well, which students appear connected, which students may not yet have a meaningful adult relationship. It provides them with opportunities to know, well, I can go here. I know that this opportunity is there for me to be able to connect with someone, to ask a question. Who needs intentional outreach? And don't wait until October. We need to hit the ground running with these things. Connection is prevention. The Learning Policy Institute research on relationship center schooling emphasizes consistent, individual, respectful, and reciprocal relationships when young people can be well known by educators. The goal, you see, isn't for one professional to become everything to every student. The goal is to create network of caring adults. And that's what it's all about. We're in this together. We have to work together for this. You see, it's about teachers and staff, the people behind the profession, all of us together, connecting the dots to do this. Now, as I move on and we talk about how we connect the dots, connecting with our educators, our teachers, our paraprofessionals, our school social workers, our counselors, psychologists, nurses, transportation staff, also nutrition, even our nutrition, administrative assistants, custodial staff, everyone else who helps students function. It's everyone. And I just listed out individuals, but I want to be clear. It's all of us together doing this work. Because what? You matter too. You matter too. You see, we cannot talk seriously about creating supportive environments for students without talking about the adults responsible for creating them. Back to school season often arrives with enormous expectations, new initiatives, new curriculum, new procedures, professional development, data. We hear that so much. Meetings, emails, deadlines, and new students arriving. So here's something important. You do not have to be perfect every with everything within 1 week. It's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process. But focus first on foundations, build relationships, learn names, learn names. Now, you may not know every single name, but learn as many as you possibly can. Do your best. Identify your support network. Know when to ask for help. It's nothing wrong with asking for help. It's not. It's no shame in that. Know when to ask for that help. That's a key element. Set reasonable communication boundaries for yourself also. Create small moments during the day to reset. That's important. If you have to take a little 5 minute, 2 minute break, that's important. And perhaps most importantly, don't isolate yourself. Don't isolate yourself. Collaborate in a protective strategy. That's important too, to do those things. Ask your colleagues, how are you doing? Only takes a second. How are you doing? Not simply, did you finish that report? Think about it. It's a give and take situation. It's a give and take. You see, we cannot build schools where children experience belonging while adults working inside those schools experience isolation. We don't want our children to feel isolated. So why would we want that? Belonging must include the adults too. That's why I said back to school, back to belonging. It is a circular motion. But what we give out, we have to breathe in. And on that note, it is time for a commercial break. I'll be right back.
Mike Zorek, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorek, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorek has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk. What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to easysense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's easysense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
Back to school, back to belonging. That is what the segment this hour is all about. Yes, this is Dare to Soar, and I am Dr. RC. I want to continue on because you guys know as this time goes on, it moves so quickly. So I'm truly hoping that you have your notebooks, those pages are turning, you're taking your copious notes, you got that water, that tea, that you're drinking, and if you're taking that walk or driving, that you are tuned in and this information is being very helpful and fulfilling to you as I'm sharing this information with you, providing that research for you also, and it is giving you those golden nuggets. As you know, that's my word that I like to drop for you also. I want to continue on, but as I go into this next portion of the hour with you, I want to go into a section about climate. And when we go back into a new year, as we know, climate begins with leadership. And that leadership is our administrators. And that's factual. They prepare, they have to get things situated with meetings, the guardrails as to how they're going to structure things. And I want to say that, our principals and administrators, this portion is for you. Um, as I dive into it. During the first few weeks of school, people are watching, not simply about what you say or how you lead, of course. And I'm not telling you anything or guiding the wheel on anything like that. It's, can students see you? Can teachers approach you? Do families know who you are? And these are things that have always been at the forefront. Does staff primarily experience your leadership through emails, policies, deadlines, and meetings, or through relationships? Also, leadership visibility matters. And I'm not sharing anything that you don't already know about the work that's being done also. And those are things that, it's just a reality of life that individuals look at when you're in leadership roles, of doing this work, and it's just a part of having that role and do that. So trying something new, different during early walkthroughs, and that's just a responsibility that leaders take on, and doing that before focusing exclusively on compliance, observing connections, or ask, are students being engaged? And these are the questions that I'm sure that in your meetings, that this is your guidance that's being done. Who appears disconnected? These are questions that I'm sure that you're asking yourselves as well as you prepare for your staff to come in, the students to come in also. What is the emotional temperature of this classroom also, as you balance out and level out things? Does the environment communicate that students belong here also? And you do the same for your staff as well. You're balancing not only the classrooms, but you're balancing your staff to make sure it's even keeled as well. And a 2-minute hallway conversation can matter also, and handwritten note can matter. Acknowledging someone's effort can matter. Asking, what do you need from me, matters also. School climate isn't created by, a poster on a wall. School climate is created through repeated experiences, that dialogue that you have with your staff also. If you want students to experience respect, adults must model that. And I'm sure that these are definitely some deliverables that you share with your staff. If you want students to communicate, adults must listen. And during those staff meetings that you have right before students come in, with staff members, I know I have all confidence that these are things that are happening. If you want teachers to build relationships, leaders must create conditions that allow relationships to flourish. That is my hope. That is my hope, at least. And if you want people to believe they belong, our practice must demonstrate that they do. That's important. If you want productive or productivity, and when we get into the school year, we talk about testing and progress and just having an environment that is about belonging, that is about feeling safe, that is about individuals being seen and supported and ready to thrive. All of this goes into it. It's just not, our goal is for the students, but we have to think about those who are guiding the students, who are working with the students. So, and that's why I keep saying it goes hand in hand with all of this work also. So when I say that, it is an interlocked and connection when we're doing this work. So as we fold into this, then we have to think about, so who's missing from the welcome? Who is missing from the welcome? And when I delve into that and go deeper, I want to look at this from a deeper lens also, because saying everyone is welcome, we have to be reflective of that, and creating conditions where everyone experiences welcome are two different things. And it is. Back to school experiences aren't equal. One family may be shopping uh, for the newest backpack. Another may be trying to figure out where they will sleep. And these are realities of what happens. One parent may attend every school event, and then another parent may be working multiple jobs. And we have to be conscientious of these things. One student knows exactly how to navigate a system. Another may just have entered the country. And I have to talk about these things because this is the reality of what our families go through. One student may be excited to see classmates. Another may feel afraid encountering the person who bullied them last year. You see, this is what we have to resist labels. Uninvolved parents, difficult students, unmotivated children or unmotivated child, or just a problem a family may be experiencing. Before assigning a label, investigate the barriers because there are barriers. So, Dr. RC, why are you going into this? Because this is what's actually happening. I'm not making anything up. I bring you facts, I bring you research when I'm telling you this with all sincerity because I need to back up what I'm sharing. You see, the U.S. Department of Education emphasizes that meaningful family partnerships support student success. And recently released back to school resources specifically designed to help families build stronger partnerships with schools. So consider starting the year with positive family contact. Don't let the first phone call home always begin with, "We're having problems." That should be the first phone call. Instead, let's turn it around. I wanted you to know something positive. I noticed about your child today. That changes the relationship altogether. You see, family engagement should not begin with crisis. We want to build relationships, capital before you need to make a withdrawal. And when families don't engage in traditional ways, don't immediately conclude they don't care. They don't care. I want to hold on to the little bit more that I have to add on to that, but it's time for a commercial break. I'm going to wrap that up when we return.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Welcome back once again, back to school, back to belonging. Right before the break, I was sharing who was missing. I've taken you through everyone who's included in this process, and we're all included in this process. I was wrapping up with our students, and I was sharing who was missing from it. So as I wrap that up, that first phone call should not be one of a tone that we're giving to say, here's the problem. But as I wrap that up, I wanted to say, think about the barriers that families may be facing when we go through this. So here it is. Ask what barriers may exist. It could be transportation, it could be work schedules, it could be language barriers, it could be technology, childcare, previous negative school experiences, and we know that happens also, housing instability, or simply trust. It could be trust that they don't know if they can trust. That's where the school social workers come in and other student support professionals become critical bridges between the school and the home and the community. And I want you to take that in consideration also when working with our families, because that is clear and it is a support system that can bridge the gap also. So those are things to consider. But when we're working with this, from individual kindness to systemic belonging, we have to know how to connect the dots. When we arrive at something incredibly important, and our children are incredibly important when we're doing this, belonging cannot depend entirely upon whether a student happens to encounter a caring teacher. Belonging must become part of the system, and it is. When we talk about research and community schools, for example, identifies integrated student support, meaningful family engagement, collaborative leadership, enrich learning opportunities, community connected instruction, cultures of belonging, also safety and care as important components of effective implementation. That's where today's conversation begins moving towards advocacy. And we know that's important. If we say children matter, what do our budgets say? And I know that's a hot topic because it just is. If mental wellness matters, do students have reasonable access to school social workers, counselors, psychologists, nurses, and other support professionals as well? Do they really? I want you to ask yourselves that question. Anyone who knows anything about education, just ask yourselves or think about it. And if you don't, inquire about it. If family engagement matters, are schools creating meaningful opportunities for families to participate? If students' voices matter, where are students included in decision making? If belonging matters, what do our discipline policies communicate? If attendance matters, are we simply counting absences or identifying the barriers causing them? Those are some questions to think on. You see, these aren't simply school level questions, they eventually come district questions as well. And they do. State questions, funding questions, policy questions, and yes, legislative questions as well. I can tell you time and time again when I've had the opportunity to not only advocate on the state level, but on the national level as well at various opportunities. The Learning Policy Institute's research on community schools reports that well implemented community school approaches can improve outcomes, including attendance, academic achievement, graduation rates, and achievement gaps also. So you see, advocacy isn't separate from belonging. It isn't. Sometimes advocacy is how we build conditions that make belonging possible. And that brings me to this. If we truly, truly believe every child deserves to belong, then eventually our budgets, policies, practices, and legislation must reflect that belief as well. See, so from welcome back to welcome home, that's what we need to look at. So if we welcome them back, then we're saying welcome home. The time goes so quickly, and I truly hope that you've gotten so much out of this. And as I'm preparing for, the last of moments of my conversation with all of you, I want to return to where we started, the back to school. But hopefully, after today's conversation, those words mean something slightly different after all that I've shared, because a successful school year isn't simply measured by how quickly students receive their schedules or how beautifully classrooms are decorated or how efficiently we conduct orientation. The deeper question is this: what happens after everybody arrives? Student needs connection, families need partnerships, teachers need support, administrators need strong teams. Students support professionals need resources, and communities need to recognize that educating children is a shared responsibility. So, I'm leaving you with a Dare to Soar Back to School challenge, and I've called it the 3-2-1 Belonging Challenge. During the coming weeks, three, connect intentionally with three students you don't interact with. Learn their names, ask how they're doing, notice them. Two, encourage two educators or staff members. Tell them specifically what you appreciate. And then there's one. Reach out to one family, not because something went wrong, no, but because you want them to know we are glad your child is here. Imagine if thousands of us did that. Three students, two educators, one family. That's how culture begins changing, one relationship at a time. Ah, this has been, I hope, a fulfilling time for each and every one of you. I am going to be doing my show closing when we return from at the end, but I hope that you've been taking your notes and moving through all of this. It is time for commercial break. Oh, got a little tongue tied there. A commercial break, and when I return, I'll be doing my closeout. Don't go away. I'll be closing out when I return.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays 10 a.m. Eastern, as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com.
We have returned. Yes, this is Dare to Soar, and I am Dr. RC. I am preparing for my show closeout. Thank you all for returning as I close out back to school, back to belonging, creating school communities where everyone feels safe, supported, seen, and ready to thrive. So as I close out today's episode of Dare to Soar, I want you to remember this. A student may forget what was written on the first worksheet. They may forget what was served for lunch. They may even forget what they wore the first day. Some of them will anyway, of school. But they are far less likely to forget how the school made them feel. Did someone know their name? Did someone listen to them? Did someone notice them? Did someone encourage them, communicate with them? Why? Because you belong here. You see, and educators need that message too. Administrators need it. Families need it as well. Everyone who contributes to our schools, communities need to know that their presence has value. So this year, let's do more than open doors. Learn. Let's learn to open opportunities, communicate, pathways to support, open ourselves to listening, and strengthen relationships as well. And when policies or systems prevent children from receiving what they need, let's be willing to use our voices to advocate for change. Because you see, education has never simply been about preparing children to pass a test, or at least it shouldn't be. It's about preparing young people to discover their gifts, recognize their possibilities, contribute to their communities, and build their futures as well. So, for our students as our students settle in back to school, let's make sure that they simply are not saying just welcome back. Let's create environments that tell them we see you, we value you, we need you here, and you belong here. Until next time, let's continue to educate, let's continue to advocate, and let's continue to inspire. Continue to create spaces where people know they matter. And whatever you do, don't just fly. I'm Dr. RC, and this has been another episode of Dare to Soar. Until next time. But before I go, I want you to always remember to never be afraid to elevate to new heights as you spread your wings and dare to soar. Take care, be safe, and enjoy the rest of your week. End.
This has been Dare to Soar with your host, Dr. RC. Come take a ride and soar to your highest level possible each week on Dr. RC's Dare to Soar.